Hey everybody, this is D Hunter, bringing another action figure review. Today, we're going to look at the McFarlane DC Multiverse Batman in his Hellbat armor, and this is the gold edition. I believe they made this figure for the Chinese New Year. Shout out to my subscriber, Michael Terrell, for finding this for me. I appreciate you looking out. Batman donned the Hellbat armor suit in the comics, I believe when Darkseid killed Damian and took his body. Batman suited up and went to get the body back and kick some ass. I really like the original Hellbat armor Batman figure. It's one of my favorite McFarlane DC Multiverse figures. A huge, oversized, almost deluxe figure in giant, great detailed armor. And you get it for the same price as the other figures. So let's go ahead and check out the packaging here. As you can see at the top, 22 points of articulation. McFarlane Toys got the Spawn logo here. Ages 12 plus. DC Multiverse Batman. Here he is in the package. No traditional accessories, just a collector's card and display stand. At the bottom, there's a bunch of credits and a barcode in case that helps anybody. One side, Batman, Hellbat Gold Edition. Other side simply says Batman. On the back, you can see him posed up, and a bunch of other McFarlane DC Multiverse figures you should check out. So, this guy found this figure at Target for me. They're not that common, but they're not a chase variant. You can just order this guy. He's available at Big Bad Toy Store and GameStop right now. So with no further ado, let's open him up. And here is the original Batman and his Hellbat armor in the package next to this new gold variant. Alright, now that we got this figure out of the package, here he is with all his accessories laid out. He comes with a pair of removable wings, a display stand, and a collector's card. But before we take a look at the accessories, let's take a look at the actual figure. So this is Batman and his Hellbat armor. And this is the gold variant for the Chinese New Year. This is an amazing figure. One of my favorite from the first wave of McFarlane toys. It looks great, and the gold version looks just as good. Kind of reminds me of Azrael with the helmet here. The red on the eyes, the short ears, the sort of robotic look to it. The big spiked shoulder pads, and they do sort of move out of the way, so it's not going to interfere with the articulation much. Giant red bat signal. The red highlights all over it, red gauntlets. It is single jointed elbow. It is also a double jointed knee. McFarlane almost never gives double jointed elbows on the larger figures. It just has that big armored look to it. I mean, it looks like it has some wires and stuff on the neck. The sculpt is fantastic. This figure is heavy. Great bang for your buck with this guy. I mean, the sharp claws, just the details, the whole 9 yards here. Now let's check out his accessories, and let's start with the boring stuff. So here's his display stand, typical McFarlane stand, black perfect circle, has a DC logo at the bottom, one peg for the peg holes on his feet, very thin, very basic. Here's his collector's card. As you can see, they have the actual figure of the gold Hellbat on here. A little different. McFarlane has started putting the figures on the cards instead of the source material. On the back side, little description of the suit. If you want to read that, go ahead and pause now. Here's the gold Hellbat's collector's card next to the original Hellbat collector's card. The original Hellbat was based off the source material, the comic where Batman wore the suit. Now let's look at his wings. Here they are folded over. These things are massive. He has a huge wingspan. Like I said, they are folded over. Here's the peg that goes into the back of the figure. Extend them. It's like the bat symbol here. Looks great. On the inside, you can see the red highlights. Absolutely fantastic accessory for this guy. Here's the figure without the wings. And here's the figure with the wings attached. Looks absolutely amazing. You can also have the wings folded up while they're attached. That's probably how I'm going to display this guy in the Batcave when the armored suit is just sitting there waiting to be used. One little small detail I wanted to point out of the wings is the right wing has a little R on the bottom and the left wing has a little L on the bottom, which is completely unnecessary as there is only one way to attach these wings. Ruins the aesthetic a little bit and is completely pointless. Now that we've taken a pretty good look at both the figure and his accessories, now let's check out his height. From bottom to the top of his head, he's sitting at about 7.6 inches tall, which is going to translate to a little bit under 19.5 centimeters. And if you're curious about the wing spread, it's a good 13.5 inches wide. Now let's check out his articulation. Starting with his head here, it can rotate from side to side. It can look up and down about that far. You can tilt his head from side to side, give him a nice amount of personality. Shoulders on a ball joint. It can go out a little bit more than 90 degrees. The armor does not get in the way. It has a little ball here. Can rotate around very nicely, up and down. His shoulder, up, down, around, all that good stuff. There is a butterfly joint between the shoulder and chest area, just increasing the range of motion there. It's got a bicep cut below that. Single jointed elbows, about a 90-degree bend there. His wrist here can rotate, and it's going to be hinged as well. His wings, of course, they do fold in. They don't really rotate up and down, but you can attach them in different ways if you'd like. He's got a ball joint in his torso. It can rotate around, also go forward and back. Another ball joint in his waist, can rotate around, go forward and back, giving him a very impressive range of motion in his torso, especially for a giant armored suit. Legs completely do the splits, very surprised there. Not a ball joint, but a similar type concept. Then go forward, about that far, back, about that much. There is a little bit of rotation here. He's got double jointed knees, they go all the way back. And then his ankle here, it can go up and down. It can rotate, can tilt and rock, and there's toe articulation. Here's Batman in his Hellbat armor, trying to retrieve Damian Wayne's body from Darkseid. And then a closer look at Darkseid, bringing Batman to his knees in his Hellbat armor. But Batman will not give up. He is ready to die to get Damian's body back. And just a closer look at this setup. We've got Snake Mountain in the background and 30 parademons from Justice League. I can't wait for the Snyder Cut figures. I knew I got these 30 guys for a reason. I knew they'd have use again. Darkseid taking down Batman in his Hellbat armor. We've got Damian Wayne's body in the background there. And you can see a whole bunch of parademons. They are everywhere, just watching the fight. Very confident they don't need to intervene and that Darkseid will win. Now let's check them out. Next is some other action figures. Starting off with some other McFarlane DC Multiverse figures. Here he is, next to the original release of Batman in his Hellbat armor. I'm not sure which one I like better. They both look fantastic. I think I'm going to go with the black and red version as it's comic accurate. Which one do you guys like better? Drop me a line in the comments below. And then just a closer look at these two figures. They are exactly the same sculpt. Just the black was replaced with gold. They kept the same red parts. Both amazing looking armored Batman figures. And while it's not Bruce Wayne in the Batsuit, here he is next to another armored Batman figure. This is Azrael in the armored Batsuit. Here are all the gold figures McFarlane has made in their DC Multiverse line. Only Batman and Deathstroke here are Chase variant figures. The other figures should be obtainable if you want them bad enough. And then here he is, next to all the different Bruce Wayne as Batman figures McFarlane has made in their DC Multiverse line. And I guess each one of these guys is Bruce Wayne as Batman in one way, shape, or form as well. And here's my entire collection of McFarlane DC Multiverse figures, including all the variants. I've got a total of 67 figures and 2 vehicles, and I'm not even fully caught up. Things that other people have been finding that I haven't found yet. The unmasked Thomas Wayne Flashpoint Batman, Injustice Flash and Injustice Gorilla Grodd, and the platinum variations of both the Injustice figures. Getting closer though. Now let's check him out. Next is some other Batman figures in armored suits. Here he is, next to the DC Direct Batman in his Thrasher armor. Then, next to Mattel's Justice Buster suit. And here, next to a couple of armored Batman figures from DC Direct's animated line. Then, next to another armored Batman, this is from NECA's Batman vs. Predator 2-pack. And here's an armored Batman from DC Direct's Arkham Asylum line. As far as armored Batman figures go, this one is pretty light. And now, next to a few different armored Batman figures from Mattel's Dark Knight Returns line. And here he is, next to a bunch of armored Batman figures from Batman vs. Superman. These figures are from Mattel, DC Direct, Mafex, and Mezco. Then, next to a bunch of tactical suit Batman figures from Justice League. They are sort of an armored Batsuit. And here, next to some Injustice armored Batman figures. And although these aren't Bruce Wayne in the Batsuit, here's a couple of Commissioner Gordon figures in his armored Batsuit. And once again, not Bruce Wayne in the Batsuit, but here's a bunch of Jean-Paul Valley or Azrael in the armored Batsuits, still helping to track down the DC Direct Nightfall version. And then speaking of gold figures, here's Midas from Fortnite. He has the golden touch. Here's Midas going after Batman's Hellbat suit, touching it, and then bam, it turns to gold. And now let's check him out next to some action figures from different various companies to see how he fits in both scale and style-wise, in case you want to know which lines you can mix him with. Here he is with some of his McFarlane brothers. In front of you are 5 different action figure lines, all from McFarlane Toys, all 7-inch scale. And here he is with some DST or Diamond Select toys. Then, next to some DC Direct and DC Collectibles figures. And here, next to some NECA figures. Then, with some Mattel wrestling figures. And here he is next to some Mezco 1/12 cloth soft goods action figures. Then, next to some Mattel DC Universe Classics and Multiverse figures. And here, next to some Mafex figures. Then, next to some Hasbro Marvel Legends. And here he is next to some SH Figure Arts action figures. And finally, here he is next to some Jazzwares Fortnite figures. So overall, this is a badass McFarlane DC Multiverse Batman figure. I love the fact that he's so big, armored. He should even be a deluxe figure, but McFarlane did a great job getting this guy out for less than $20. I will say, I think this guy is visually more pleasing than the original release, but I still do prefer the original release as he's comic accurate. I do find it very interesting they made this figure for the Chinese New Year. Not really sure why that is, but it looks phenomenal. Overall, if I were to rate this figure, I would give him a very solid 8 out of 10. This is a must-have if you're into the paint variations. So this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you liked the video, press like below. If you have anything you want to say about the video, add to the comment section. If you want to see additional action figure reviews from me, press subscribe. I do appreciate when you do that. Once again, this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I will talk to you guys real soon.